And to reiterate a little of what Goddard said, he was explaining how it is a fundamental law of consciousness that by telepathy we can have immediate communion with another. Now, me again here. Considering that this is true, what should we think about those we call the Illuminati or the secret government or the Masons or whatever name we want to give them? Should we be thinking that they are so evil and deserving of something terrible to happen to them? It is our subjective thought that they are this or that kind of bad and that they deserve punishment. That is, no, let me read this again. I said that wrong. Is it our subjective thought that they are this or that kind of bad and that they deserve punishment that is going to telepathically go to them, affirming that this is the truth about them? Should we think that they are so evil but that they have great power? If our thinking this way continues that to be true, our imagination is our means of creating a better world, but we tend to just look at what our eyes see and our ears hear, and we think the truth is in the appearance. We forget our power. We come from a place of fear, and a place of fear is not a place of empowerment. I've heard some people say, well, love is not enough. The ones who think this way are right in a way, but only because of their definition of love. Love has to be coupled with wisdom. It is not wise to be convinced that the enemy is to be hated, demonized, destroyed, or that they are very powerful and capable of great destruction. They are to be not converted to think according to some dogma we believe in, the kind of save the poor sinner by having him say the sinner's prayer or something like that. We are not converters, but we are transformers. We have a power that runs our bodies that we can step up. It transforms others. In the control of a master, it can do marvelous things. It is also a power that can do harm. I will read to you a part of the third book in a series called The Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East, in which a woman who is a master makes a mistake and allows anger to erupt from her. In this part of the book, she is addressing a bandit who had terrorized the village people and who is known by them as the consummate black devil or something of that effect. Bad reputation. He has come to the village she is in, not knowing of her being there, for he has experienced her before and fears her. And now these are the words. Then he placed his hands to his forehead. This is the bandit. And prostrated himself before her, begging her pardon. Our hostess directed him to arise and deliver his message. We could see her form stiffen, and for a moment her features almost blazed with anger. So intense was her display of emotion that for an instant we, as well as the man himself, were absolutely startled out of our composure. The words, "Coward, murderer, step forth and deliver your message," almost leapt from her lips. The man again went to his knees. Again the words blazed forth. "Stand up. Are you so debased that you dare not stand?" We did not wonder at the man's abject terror, for we, as well as he, were absolutely rooted to the spot, unable to move. I am certain had it been humanly possible for the man to have done so, he would have fled from the scene. For the moment, he, as well as ourselves, had lost all power of speech and action. He crumpled to the ground, limp and apparently lifeless, his eyes staring and his mouth agape. This was the first and only time in our experience with these people of superior powers that we had seen one of them give expression in any way to violent emotion. We were as terrified as the bandit. The vibrations hit us just as distinctly as the force of a tremendous explosion, accompanied by an electric shock that not only paralyzed speech, but our muscles as well. That is the only way I can describe the sensation. Coming from that slight and unassuming fragile form, Do you wonder that these vibrations paralyzed us into inaction? Although this situation lasted only a moment, it seemed hours before the tension relaxed. We were as transfixed as statues, yet there flooded over us in that instant a great pity for the bandit, and we found ourselves longing to go to his assistance. This was the reaction of all, yet we only stood and stared at our hostess. Almost at once the condition changed. At first a startled look came over her face. Then it changed to the same kindly expression that we were accustomed to, and there swept over us such a wave of compassion that we rushed to the prostrate form on the ground. Our hostess was bending over him, her hand clasping his. So here we see an example of a person whose thoughts are so potent that, if not controlled, can influence all around her. Further on in this same book, it is Jesus who sends out a quality of love that causes the enemy bandits to be stopped and to destroy themselves, so that the villagers had no need to resort to fighting the invading horde of bandits. Jesus speaks of the power in this below. When I say, "Behold, a Christ of God is here," I behold the God-man standing forth. I see this body as the true temple of God, the perfect instrument or channel through which the great creative principle flows and comes forth freely. Then this creation is unadulterated in image, form, and likeness. I am God. In this attitude I stand forth, the master of every situation, the Christ of God, triumphant. It is this ideal that I worship. And this is my interjection. The word worship means to work with. He is saying he works with this ideal. And that which I worship or work with, I bring forth. I can in no way bring forth God if I am does not present God to all humanity. In this attitude, man stands forth the master of every situation. The Christ is triumphant, conquering. God and man are walking hand in hand, one. There is but one principle, one man. One of our party thought for a moment and then asked, "How can we bring forth this light and make practical use of it?" The answer came, "Let your body become a generator through which this great creative, radiating principle flows. See this principle as the emanation of all power. Know that it is the principle of all power. Then, like an electric generator, your body will collect and magnify this energy until you send it out as a stream of pure white light that nothing can resist, and anything directed toward you cannot harm you. You can also send such intense impulses of electrical energy over these light beams that the body of the one attempting to harm you will be destroyed. Any resistance to this energy immediately magnifies its volume and therefore its velocity. The ones setting up resistance against it or attempting to set up their personal will only harm themselves. If they do not set up any resistance to this light, it will pour its healing balm through them as well as it does through you. It is the pure God beam and power which blends with that of another at all times if there is no resistance to its free flow. It vibrates with the highest vibration. Consequently, all are vibrating in perfect harmony and accord, and no harm can possibly come to them, as they are in unison with the God vibration. There is absolutely nothing that can harm another unless that one resists the God vibration. Vibration is life. Do you not see how you stand one with God at all times? In this attitude, would there be a possibility of separation? The only separation is the resistance that causes the inharmony. Nothing can come near you when you stand in the holy mount, one with God. This is not a special privilege for a few. This is for all. I am the great absolute cause or source in which every child stands one with God. Thus all live under the law, the highest vibratory thought action. There is not an inharmonious vibration that can enter this sphere, this throne, where all belong, and all are at home. This is your divine kingdom. You can also use this power to return false and harmful thoughts or desires that are directed toward you. You can, if you so desire, step up this white God-light beam, endow it with God power, magnify and transform the energy the sender has given the thing or condition that was intended for you. Then place it in your reflector and send it back to the sender with the velocity of light. When you return it in this way, it is a beam of pure white light instead of merely lowered vibrations as it was sent out to you. When it reaches the sender, the impulses are so potent that it can destroy the body of the one who first put in motion the lower vibration. It matters not whether you know the sender or the location from which it came. The vibration will return to its source unerringly. The judgment or day of retribution has arrived. As you give, so you receive, good measure, pressed down and running over. You can transform God power and send it out with such force that it is irresistible. These are the beams or rays of light that you see emanating from my body. These rays are emanating from your body, although they are not yet as potent. But as you go on and use this power, allied with law and principle, you will add potency to the light and can consciously direct it to accomplish any good desire. When the artist portrayed me at Gethsemane, the rays of light went out from my body instead of coming out from heaven to me. The light is the God power generated from within my body, then sent out by the reflector. These beams go out from every body when that person stands forth as God in his divine heritage, the Christ of God, all one. This is and can be made the definite motto of all humanity. Can there be discord between brothers if they become this all-absorbing one? Now, step up this white beam, which is the God beam upon which you sent out God power. Endow it with God power transformed, 10,000 or 10 million times greater than that which has been sent out to you, and which you are returning. This is as you decree. Then let it flow back upon the same path that the vibrations of the thing traveled to you. When the person receives this ray and accepts it as coming from God, the attempted harm is all erased, forgiven, forgotten, and no harm can come to you or the sender of that harmful thought. You are both eye to eye one with God. Instead of inharmony, there is perfect harmony. You are again one. If the sender of the harmful thought does not accept the white ray which you have sent out in all its potency, his body will be destroyed. This pure white ray will completely erase every vibration of harm or discord if allowed to complete its perfect work. If resisted, there is nothing but a perfect erasure for the one who holds determinedly to the resistance. His resistance draws to him the whole creative principle adversely as to the square of the resistance set up. The square means multiplying the resistance 4 times. Thus you see that as you send out good or evil, it will return to you 4-fold. You are standing forth as the Lord or law, giving forth good or God for evil. But even in this attitude, be truly humble. Judge not. Place every bit of love you possess upon this pure white ray, and see well to it that it is the pure love of God that you are generating and sending forth. As you accomplish this, legions are at your command. You are still meek and humble, willing to follow on with the light. It is the pure light of God that you follow, and that light is life, liberty. Life, purity, and beauty, eternal and profound. There are 7 centers in your body that can be used as reflectors. You can cause these central points to glow with a radiance far greater than any artificial light, and when you wish to send out this light, it glows with a greater potency and will reach further than any electrical beam that can be projected. By setting all of these centers aglow at the same time, you are completely surrounded by an armor that nothing can penetrate. You can send out the pure white ray of God so energized that your body actually glows with a brilliancy far greater than that of the noonday sun. You stand forth Lord of creation, the Lord of hosts. You stand forth true and triumphant, yet peaceful, loving, God enthroned in your body, and that body beautiful, spiritual, and divine. As these vibrations came to us, the light emanating from the bodies of Jesus and his group was most difficult to behold, yet there was this vibrant brilliancy shining through, which resembled liquid gold. To our vision there seemed to be an indefiniteness, while to all of the other senses there was the solidity of rock. Again the vibrations came. In this way, you can make your body completely invisible to mortal sight by focusing your entire thought fully and definitely upon the pure white God ray and letting it go forth from the 7 centers as reflectors in unison. Then again, you can step right out on either of these rays and present any picture that you wish to those that would do you harm. You can follow on this beam with the exact speed of light and go where you will instantly. Your body is invisible to those who do not see through and beyond the mortal. They are aware that there is something they do not understand, thus they are susceptible to any picture you wish to present to them. That which they do not understand is mysterious or supernatural, and the faculty which is developed through suspicion or superstition is easily misled. Thus you send out love to those that would do you harm, and the energy they release reflects back to them. The picture of harm they have sent out depicts the lower man of each one fighting that which they believe to be their enemy, which in reality they are fighting the picture of their own lower selves. These pictures change the closest friends into enemies and array brother against brother. Should this band still persist in their threatened attack and raid, they will destroy each other. They now have the opportunity of leaving the district and its inhabitants unmolested, or they will turn and destroy themselves. Man cannot attempt to destroy his brother without meeting the same fate for himself. We send only the pure white ray of God love to them, and if they resist that love with hate, malice, or revenge, they of their own free will turn that ray into a flame that will consume them. You need have no fear. We offer only love and have no power to compel them to accept. If the bandits come with love, there will be no conflict. Our cause is already won. Okay, now back to my words. I know a lot of people will say, I have tried love and it did not work this way. We think we love when we are really just fooling ourselves. Love is not, say, like romantic love, which sometimes is the real thing, but often is not. In romance, we have more of a I trade with you and you trade with me. That is to say, I make you feel good about yourself and you make me feel good about myself. Not that a relationship that starts out this way cannot turn into real love, but so often that kind of love does not stand up to testing and is easily transformed to hate if one or the other does not please the other in this trade relationship. Some of the more fundamentalist type religionists of the world today show very little resemblance to the love that Jesus taught. I hear them teaching fear toward the Muslims instead of trying to show how to love the enemy. They promote going to war with other countries. They still put down the female and would rob her of her own power over her own body in their insistence that she adhere to their beliefs. And the lack of understanding they have toward gays is very evident. It is a shame, and it is something that they are being called on these days. Only right now they see it as themselves being persecuted. So even some of the loudest proclaimers of being righteous don't really know how to send out love. It seems evident to me that our world's problems, and there are many of them, which threaten life itself, are not going to be solved by politicians, religionists, science, as we may hope for. Only the individual taking hold of his own God power within and sending it out will save us. We must be the saviors that we have been waiting for. Even those who are our interplanetary friends can't and won't do it for us. Yes, I believe that they will help and help mightily, and even that they have helped us many times in the past. But they have to see that we are helping ourselves. We have not, en masse, tapped into the power of love, except in a few cases where some individuals have shown us the way. But so often we make them into idols and worship the empty idol instead of working with the message they gave us by the way they lived. Take Jesus, for instance, and I mention Jesus because I am more familiar with him than with other saviors. Others as well as Jesus have shown us the way, but do we really listen, or do we still have blind eyes and deaf ears to their true message? Jesus never promoted war. Jesus, when asked about the eunuchs, gay people, said to us, some of them are born that way from their mother's womb, and some are made that way by other men, etc. He did not condemn them at all. Jesus talked about the Good Samaritan and how that one had helped the man who had been left to die on the side of the road after being beaten and robbed. He said nothing about how the Samaritans did not have the right religion. Jesus did not teach lack or limitation. Jesus did not teach that he was the only one who could do great things. Jesus encouraged us to talk to the Father within and be one with that one. Jesus did not adhere to what was written, even saying that Moses taught an eye for an eye, but he, Jesus, said to love your enemy. And you know the rest. He was a rebel of his day. And in the eyes of those in power, he was a rebel to the political and the religious power. And that is what you and I have to do. We have to be that kind of a rebel and not let any system of any kind turn us into good little sheeple. We have to think for ourselves. So often people just want others to tell them what to do, what to think, and make their decisions about everything for them. They want someone they think who has more understanding than they do to just dictate to them. And all the while, we ourselves have all the understanding right within our own precious selves. We have to simply know it is there and delve into understanding our own personal relationship with God. Have you ever had this question asked of you? Do you have a personal relationship with God? In many religions, this question is asked, and then they want to tell you what that relationship consists of, which will be their own version of dogma and doctrine. But no, you are your own mediator, and even though Jesus served in that capacity, you yourself can also talk to God. You have to meditate. Hey, a play on words here. One can mediate if they meditate. You have to go within. If we don't go within, we will go without. And I mean that two ways. In one way, we will look without ourselves for a God supposed to be up there somewhere. Also, we will go without the fullness of our salvation right now. For salvation is not for when we die, as much as it is for enjoying the benefits of communion with God right now, on a day-to-day kind of here-and-now basis. When we do, we won't feel the need to hate the enemy. My goodness, the enemy is our own selves very often. The enemy is often members of our own family. The enemy we want to love cries out for love and understanding. It is better to suffer a wrong done to us than it is to wrong another. And why? Because we are more blessed when we give than when we receive. Give love and love comes back multiplied. We will learn this as an individual and as a nation of individuals. It will reflect in our policies and in our words to those with whom we have differences. We will find the love and protection and provision that Jesus talked about. We will and we have to if we wish to survive and grow and evolve. And the days ahead of us are going to be simply fantastic and full of abundance and happiness and affection for every other being. Peace with ourselves, peace with our neighbors, other countries, and with our animal friends. Peace with our unseen brothers and sisters. Peace with nature and the elements and the elementals. It's all there, and for some of us there is no wait. Some of us won't have to wait until the masses get it, but we can come into a relationship with God, a personal one, in any moment of time, even now.